I'm a first-time mom. This is my son, Trayson, and today I'm going to be telling you about my labor and delivery story. My son, Trayson, is 2 months old. My due date was August 20th, and he came on August 11th. Honestly, my labor and delivery story is probably kind of boring because I was blessed enough to have an easy labor. I was blessed enough to have a very easy pregnancy. And you know, he's healthy and everything, and I'm just so thankful. I was 38 weeks pregnant, and at that point in my pregnancy, I was seeing my OBGYN every week. Checking my cervix was an experience. I would never let her check me, and she was finally got to the point where, like, you're at the point in your pregnancy where I have to do this. That Monday, Trayson was born on that Friday, August the 11th. So that Monday, I had a doctor's appointment, and I was finally able to get my cervix checked. I just kind of like buckled down, and I was just like, just don't wimp out until she's done. Just like keep going. So she checked me and came to find out I was 1 centimeter dilated. And I was like, oh my God, like, what does that mean? And she's just like, well, it means if you progress more, you could have a baby, or it's possible you could go to or past your due date. And I'm just like, okay, that doesn't really tell me anything, but you know, at this point we're just playing the waiting game anyway. So yeah, so that Monday I was 1 centimeter dilated. So I was working my whole pregnancy, and the week, So I worked my whole pregnancy. And the week he was born was actually my last week in the office. I was going to work from home until I delivered at that point. I remember, so that Friday he was born, that morning I woke up getting ready for work, and I was just like, I feel like I should take some pictures. I was like, this could be my last day pregnant. Something just told me, like, take some pictures of your belly just so you could see how big he was. And then I remember getting in the shower, and I was talking to him in my stomach, and I was just like, listen, we've made it this far without going into labor at work. This is literally my last day, and it's a half day at that. So, you know, just let me make it to the end of the day, and you can come anytime after that. And so that's literally what happened. And so I didn't know I was having labor pains, really. My Braxton Hicks contractions have been more frequent at that time and getting like kind of stronger. And so when I started having labor pains, I honestly thought I just had like gas and that I had to use the bathroom. And so it gets to the end of the day, and I'm like the last one in the office. Everybody said goodbye and everything because it's the last time they're gonna see me pregnant. You know, I'm passing gas because I'm like, nobody else is here. So like, it got to the point where I'm just like, man, I really got to use the bathroom, and I didn't want to use the bathroom at work. So I was like, you know, let me get home. And I was a commuter, so sitting in traffic, I would be in traffic for, you know, an hour is the minimum. And so I'm in traffic having what I thought were like gas cramps and stuff, and I'm just like, man, I really gotta go to the bathroom. So I'm like talking to him in my stomach. I'm just like, you know, just let me make it home, and I'll give you some breathing room in there. I'm gonna use the bathroom when I get home. So I get home, use the bathroom, and like the pain is gone, the cramps are gone. Ooh, baby, you got some spit up? Yep. So I get home, I use the bathroom, and the cramps are gone. So, you know, again, I thought I just had to use the bathroom. I was supposed to meet my friend about 30 minutes away or so. We were gonna go see Black Klansmen and go to Olive Garden for dinner because they were doing the buy one get one. I was really excited to go to Olive Garden. Had this whole nice evening plan for myself. I think the cramps did start up again before I left the house because I had like a little bit of time to use the bathroom, you know, change my clothes or whatever, just get a little more comfortable, and then get back out the door. So I'm on my way about to get on the interstate when the cramps start again, but this time they're not like gas cramps because at this point I've used the bathroom. They felt like period cramps. I was like, I'm pregnant, so I'm not having my period. And so I called my mom and I'm just like, hey, what does labor pain feel like? And she was like, period cramps. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I think I'm having those. And she was like, are you sure? And I was like, well, yeah, but they're not that bad, so I think I'm okay. And she was just like, well, where are you? And I was like, well, I'm on the way to the movies. And she's like, do you think you need to turn around and go home? And I was like, maybe. But my OB, she was always like, you know, if the pain, you can like change positions and get more comfortable and it goes away, then you're fine. You know, pretty much if you're able to still walk around and stuff, you're fine. I went to the ER while I was pregnant because he hadn't been moving around as much. He started moving around as soon as we got to the doctor's office. I didn't want to pretty much go and get sent home for nothing and then get that ER bill. And so I was just like, you know, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to see. I'm driving still. And for some reason, I just didn't believe her. And so I'm having more of the cramps. And I asked my friend Maria, because she has a daughter. And I was just like, what did your labor pain start out like? And she was like, it felt like period cramps. And I was like, oh, okay. And so in my head, I'm thinking like, Lord, am I about to go into labor today? At this point, I'm almost to my exit on the interstate, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Like, can I sit through this movie, or do I need to go home? Like, what do I do? Because I also didn't want to cancel on her, you know, because I just don't like canceling plans like that. And it kind of, I didn't want to seem like, oh, I'm pregnant, I can use I think I'm having labor excuse. And so I called her, and literally the first thing I said was, don't hate me. And I was like, I think I'm going into labor. And she was just like, Erica, hurry up, turn around, go home, blah, 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 blah. And so, I'm freaking out at this point. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm about to go into labor. I'm going into labor today. And so I'm trying to turn around, get back on the interstate to go back home. I called his dad, and his dad was thinking like, you know, so what are you gonna do? Like, you know, are you playing? Are you for real? Like, he really thought I was overreacting. So I get home. Yeah. So I get home, and at this point, the pain is more frequent. Are you talking to? Yeah. So at this point, the pain is more frequent, and I get home, my mom's there, and she's just like, you know, so what do you want to do? And I was just like, well, like I said, my doctor said, you know, if I can still move around and stuff, I'm probably okay. So I'm just gonna, you know, wait a little bit. And she's just like, well, we can go to the hospital if you want to go to the hospital. And I'm like, no, I think I want to wait. But then, you know, I'm sitting here thinking like, am I being stupid? Like, do I need to wait? Do I need to go to the hospital? And so I tried to call their office, but it's after hours. So it's like you call and then they'll call you back if it's an emergency, blah, 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 blah. Well, my doctor was not on call that weekend, unfortunately. And so I had to wait for the other doctor to call me back, and he was taking too long for my liking. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna time them. The pain ended up being 5 minutes apart, and I was like, okay, so we should probably go to the hospital. I was like, well, let me clean my room first, because I didn't want to come home after having the baby to a dirty room. So I cleaned my room, and then I grab the hospital bags, and we get in the car. And at this point, on the way to the hospital, the pain is getting more intense. And I just remember getting out of the car and going to the registrar or whatever, and she's like, what are you here for? And I'm like, contractions. And she's like, well, okay, let's get you back there. And so, you know, they get me checked in and all that stuff. And my friend Chelsea actually worked at the hospital that I was having my baby at. And so she like comes down and gets me and everything. We're just all excited. Meanwhile, let me know, I have not eaten so I hadn't eaten since about noon that day. And I hadn't slept since the night before, and I hadn't slept much because at 38 weeks pregnant, you're getting up to go to the bathroom a lot, and you're uncomfortable, and it's just like, why even sleep? And so, yeah, so I'm in the hospital. They get me, you know, checked in or whatever, and, you know, they go to check my cervix. They checked me, and so by the time we got to the hospital, I was 3 centimeters dilated and I think 75% effaced. When my doctor had checked my cervix at Monday, I was 1 centimeter dilated and I wasn't effaced at all. And so with the strength of my contractions and being that far, they went ahead and admitted me and got me into a labor room. So at that point, it was really just kind of a waiting game. I did get an epidural. And your opinions about epidurals aside, you know, I really do commend those that can do a natural birth. because it's not easy. Even with the epidural, I still felt some pain. Pain is definitely the wrong word to use here. I would call it more of a discomfort. Not even a discomfort. It's just I had been on the epidural from about 10:30, 11 until 5 a.m. So by the time it was time to push, I could feel my contractions, but it wasn't unbearable pain. You just kind of know, oh, I'm having a contraction. Even with the epidural, I still felt some pain. So I can only imagine, if I were to not have it. But for me, in my experience, in my labor and delivery, I chose to have an epidural. In case you're curious about the epidural process, they'll come in, they'll have the anesthesiologist come in, you'll have to sign a form saying like, yes, you can do it and whatnot. They'll have you like lean forward and feel between your vertebrae for where they're gonna stick you. And I may be missing some points. I gave birth 2 months ago, but you'll feel them swab. What is it? The iodine, like that orangey brown stuff on your back, and they'll stick you to numb you first, and that'll sting a little bit, and then you kind of can't feel anything, and they'll feed the whatever through. And then it's just, honestly, from there, you don't feel anything at all. So let me go back. So we got to the hospital, I think around like 8:30 p.m. They monitored me from then until I think I was maybe like 4 centimeters dilated. And that's when I got up to the room. At this point, it's like 10 o'clock or so when I got the epidural, I think. Or no. I don't remember all the way. To be honest, I just know by 11 I was for sure in the room and had the epidural going, and she was telling me, I had an awesome nurse. She was telling me that I would have to wait until I was 10 centimeters, and she was like, in most cases you dilate more every hour or so. And so I'm just like, oh my God. Like, we're gonna be here for a minute. I was like, I'm only at 4. You mean I gotta sit here for 6 hours? I gotta wait that long to have a baby? For the actual like pushing part, I only had his dad and my mom in the room. But before then, there were a lot of people in my room. And if I could go back, I would actually have like a birth plan. I didn't think I would need a birth plan, because I knew I was gonna come in, get epidural, have my baby, blah blah blah. I wasn't trying to keep my placenta or anything. But as for like people allowed in my space, I do wish I was a little bit more firm on that, because you are going through a lot in that time, and you're in pain. You don't want a lot of people in your face. You don't want to have to entertain people. You want to be able to sleep, because at that point you're not going to be able to sleep very much. You gotta push a baby out, and then after that, doctors got to check you and stuff like that. It's a while before you get into your recovery room, all that. So keep that in mind too if you are pregnant and you're thinking about the big day. Keep in mind like who you want at the hospital. Like, can certain people wait to come until you're ready for visitors and things like that, and set boundaries for certain people. That's all I'm gonna say. So it finally got to the point where I was almost to 10 centimeters, and so what my nurse had me do was she had me push to 10 centimeters. And just to tell you the strength of the epidural, so she had checked my cervix again, and ended up breaking my water when she did it. And she was like, whoops, broke your water. And I was like, huh? And she was like, I broke your water. And I was like, you sure? I didn't feel anything wet. I didn't feel anything. But I saw when she moved her arm, I saw the stuff all of her arm. And I was like, oh, you did. So like, for real, if you do get an epidural, you don't feel anything, I promise. And so yeah, it came time to, ooh, he's sweepy. He's a sweepy bubbles. Yeah. It came time to push. She had me push to 10 centimeters. And then they had me push to where he was crowning, I guess. And I remember everybody was just like, oh, you're doing so good. You're doing so good. Keep going. Keep pushing. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, are y'all gassing me up? Because again, like, I swear, you can't feel anything with the epidural. I didn't think I was pushing for real. And my friend Chelsea that worked there, she was in my room. She asked if she could be in my room. I told her, yeah. She went and got the mirror to where you could see. I wouldn't recommend looking at it. I could have gone my whole life without seeing it. But I was pushing. He was crowning. I saw his hair. And so once they got me to that point, they got the doctor in there and they're like, all right, it's time. And I'm like, I'm in this surreal state. I'm just like, this is really happening, but I'm not exactly processing what's going on. I'm just kind of going through the motions and doing it. Again, I'm not feeling anything for real. I could feel him moving inside of me, and I remember feeling him kind of slip out. I remember feeling like a wiggle. And then all of a sudden the doctor was like, hold out your arms. And I'm like, huh? And he just kind of like threw them on my chest. And at that point, I just started it took a minute. I was just like, that's my baby. And so I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to cry. So I start crying. I start crying and I'm like, it was just crazy. I was like, he's here. He's really, really here. So he came out, and I remember somebody had told me that his cord was wrapped around his neck when he came out, and so that freaked me out. But he was fine, and he didn't really cry when he came out either. He was just kind of like looking around, really observant, kind of like he's doing right now. Yeah. He was just kind of looking around, kind of studying. His eyes are open. He was already trying to hold his head up, and I was just like, are they supposed to do that out the womb? It was crazy. I did tear. I tore pretty bad, apparently. I didn't understand how bad at first. So there's 4 degrees of tearing, apparently. And mine is almost the worst. So a 4th degree tear is, imagine like, your vagina, your booty hole, the perineum in between. A 4th degree tear is when you tear all the way to your butthole. So mine was almost there. I didn't feel anything until, of course, the epidural wore off, and then I was in pain. Sitting down was hard. I had to sit down at an angle. I couldn't sit directly down. Could not sit directly down. Getting up was hard. I didn't want to get up a lot, and getting home and stuff was it's painful. It's painful getting back to yourself afterwards after a tear that bad. And I'm not gonna say it's the worst thing ever. Oh my God, no. I'm alive. You get through it. You can move around. You just have to be careful. You just have to be careful how you sit. You just have to ease it down all the time and ease it back up all the time for a while. But by the time you go to your 6-week appointment, your stitches should be dissolved and you're in better shape. I used to watch videos, and I didn't really pay attention to videos about tearing or read that much into it, because I was just like, what happens with my labor. And that's kind of how I dealt with the recovery process. What happens. And so I wasn't, necessarily prepared to tear that bad, but I'm just trying to say, don't be scared of it if it does happen to you. Again, if it happens, it happens. But you can get through it. You can live through it. Like I said, stitches, they suck, but they do heal. You do get back to normal. It's just temporary pain. They gave me Lortab and Motrin in the hospital, but like I said, I had a lot of people in and out of my room and in my face. So I got to the point where I was just like, I don't want to take the Lortab anymore, because I can't be, a zombie and be trying to talk to them and care for my baby, and I'm, running on no sleep, and I'm also drugged up. It was just, that first day was pretty rough. But that's honestly, before I start rambling about other things, that's really it for my labor and delivery story. Like I said, I feel like my labor and delivery story is kind of boring, because for the most part, it was pretty easy. I had a pretty easy birth experience. And so if you're a first-time mom, congratulations. Don't be scared. People have babies every day. You will have your baby, you will get through your healing process, you'll have your own story to share. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions about my labor and delivery experience, if I left anything out, anything that you feel like I could have touched on, should have touched on, or just, like I said, just general questions. I'll answer them in the comments. Please like this video, because it took 2 months for me to get the nerve to record it. And yeah, I guess like if you guys want more videos or something, I'm open to doing that. Yeah, thanks for watching.